So again, I would like to thank you all for joining us this evening, and a huge special thanks to our special guest, Paula Finnegan, the author of our Bank of Questions for Religious Education. And before we start, I'd like to give just some brief information on what to expect from the session. It should last maximum of 30 minutes. I'll introduce you to Paula, who's going to talk you through the content of the Bank of Questions, and then I'll follow with a very quick demonstration of the platform, so everything comes together nicely. And at the end, we have some minutes allocated as well for Q&A, so feel free to pop in your questions in the Q&A box throughout the session. I've left the chat as well open, so feel free to chat away during the session using the chat box. So this is it. I hope you guys enjoy the session. Also very important, the recording of the webinar will be available soon on our YouTube channel, Examcraft Formative. With the other webinars, we have already Science and Maths up, and soon it's coming Geography. And as well, if you have any questions that you come to your mind afterwards, just go to our website, and in there you can find how to contact us as well if you want to book a demonstration for your school. And we also like to invite everybody to join our 30-day free trial, so you can experience the platform and see for yourself how it works. So with no further ado, I'll hand you over now to Paula Finnegan, the author of our Bank of Questions. She's a religious education teacher at Coláiste Bríde in Dublin, and also a JCT Associate, delivering in-service training on the new junior cycle religious education course. She has taught religious education and as exam and non-exam subject, both junior and senior cycle. She also teaches teachers at Maynooth University, and she has previously a local facilitator for the PDST and chief advising examiner of religious education for the SEC. So now,
that was a bit of a mouthful.
Yes, of course, with like such an amazing guest with so many amazing things to mention, we had to go for it. So once again, thank you so much, Paula, for joining us this evening. Now, with no further ado, I'll hand it over to you, and I'll mute myself.
Grand. Thanks, Carolina. Thanks very much. I just saw that somebody had put up on the screen or on the chat that they couldn't hear anything, or that the sound was really bad. So can somebody say it up on the, if I'll speak nice and slowly, can somebody just put it up? If it's a thing that you can't hear me properly, can somebody just put it up on the chat, just so you can. Listen, I saw names there, lots of you, I know lots of people already. Oh, hang on now, I see something on the chat. Sound is good. Okay, grand. Fingers crossed. I know an awful lot of you already. A lot of you know me, so hi again. My name is Paula. I teach in Coláiste Bríde in Clondalkin, so I am in the exact same boat as everybody else in this webinar, teaching in here, teaching exam. Okay, so we can all hear fine, so I'll plod on. Listen, I have done kind of bits of work with Examcraft over the years, and so my latest little kind of our most recent endeavor with them was putting together this kind of formative assessment platform. So listen, that's just kind of what we're going to be talking to tonight. Tonight is going to be nice and light and relaxed because you're giving up yet another Tuesday night. So listen, I'm not going to take long at all. I have 10 slides, and I'm just going to go through the kind of the platform of questions, show them for you, showcase them for you, and then Carolina might explain them again at the end. So it's nice, light, relaxed. So I hope everybody has a cup of tea and you're just having a nice chill and you can just sit and listen. All right. So I guess the purpose of this, sorry, another thing on the chat. Okay, grand. Okay, no, that's just about the sound. Yeah, so a while ago, Examcraft just came up with this idea for formative assessment, and there was myself and 3 other RE teachers that kind of had a look at the new specification, just kind of putting together. I know a lot of teachers are getting their head around the new spec, the whole new junior cycle. So this is kind of something that will hopefully be a nice little added kind of teaching tool or resource for people. All right. So I guess this is the concept really of formative assessment in junior cycle. Just to bear in mind, it was created by me and 3 other teachers. So there's 4 of us. Some people are teaching RE to exams, some people are doing it to non-exam. So I guess they're designed with that in mind. They're designed by teachers teaching in our Irish classrooms here. And I guess just being aware of, like, we all teach in very different kind of schools. So I guess they're very representative of the needs of teachers and our students. Those of you that know me at this stage know that I'm all about kind of practicality and usefulness. So that's kind of what they are. And I guess for those of us that are, because I'm one of the teachers that I'm teaching it to the exam at the moment, it's very reflective of cycle specification. So you'll just see there the blurb on it, like there's 30 units on it. There's a huge bank of questions there. There's 604 questions in total. And I guess all these bank of questions were built around our 3 interconnected strands. So there's like 30 units, all strands are covered, and each of them are kind of broken down into little mini topics. Again, we'll go through these in a little bit more detail. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to share a different document with you. Bear with me one sec. Yeah, I'm just going to share this PDF. So that should be up on your screen now. This is just kind of explaining the nature of this resource, for want of a better word. So let me just make that bigger. I hope you can see that okay. So it's very much based around the, sorry, see something in the chat. Can't see it. Okay. I actually will stop for a second. What should be up there now is a PDF.
No, it's
Okay.
probably because you have chosen to
yeah. Hang on, I'm going to close that. I'm going to stop sharing that. Super. And I'll go back to here. Okay, we're going to be live now. Sorry guys, thanks for that. Now, are we okay?
Yes, it's all good. The PDF.
Okay. Sorry. So I'll just retrace my steps. This is just a PDF. It's a nice little thing to just explain what this resource is. So you'll see that the bank of questions is very much created around the 3 strands here, our expressing beliefs, our exploring questions, and living our values, and bearing in mind the 3 skills that are assessed: inquiry, exploration, and reflection and action. So it's very much in line with the junior cycle RE specification. So this is just a little breakdown of the topics, right? So as you know, there's 30, it's broken down into kind of 30 subtopics. So we start off with an introduction to the 5 major world religions. I'll just look at this first one first of all. So this is generally how every topic would be broken down. So there's the topic, you'll see the learning outcome that it relates to, and you'll see there then how it's broken down. So like this is one that I did with my first years, because at the beginning of first year, we do a little kind of introduction to the 5 major world religions. I'll show you the questions in a little while, but this is kind of how it's broken down into these kind of small little bite-sized sections. Then, sorry, my finger's on the screen. We go to a faith community in Christianity, a faith community in Islam. So like different teachers will decide, everybody approaches this differently. Some people will, if you're teaching in a Catholic school, you might just decide to focus on Christianity. I teach in a Catholic school, but I would have a large Muslim population. So I generally try to kind of flip between the 2. So I would kind of focus on these 2 in a little more detail. If you want to go in Buddhism, I know I have 2 Buddhists in my first year class this year, so I'm dipping in and out of this a little bit. Then, for example, religious rituals, looking at them in the different world religions. So it's all questions and all just kind of little self-correcting resources on all of these non-religious rituals. Then we go to the learning outcome on the history and expansion of a world religion, on Judaism, Christianity, Islam, you'll see there. Then we go on to sacred texts, Judaism, Christianity, Islam. Then we go to moral codes. And you'll see that I guess what's nice about this and the way that they are all presented is that obviously we're to go with a non-linear approach. We kind of mix between the three strands, and it's very much reflective in this. So like when you're doing Judaism, you know, you're learning at, you're bringing in morality in with it as well. So it's kind of very adaptive to the kind of the philosophy. You can adapt, you can change, you can link as you wish. I'm going to show you a few examples of how you can do this in a little bit, like Christianity and moral codes, Islam and moral codes, the stages of faith. This is a lovely little one when you're getting them ready for their CBA 2 when they are in third year. Obviously not this year at the moment, but next year when our second years are in third year. Christianity and Irish culture. Religious organizations working for justice and peace. People of religious commitment. Again, that's lovely for CBA 1. Religious teachings today. Religious teachings in the world. Caring for the earth. This is a lovely one to do at the moment with COP27 on and the new resource out on Laudato Si. Morality and the moral decision making. So that's 23. 24, compassion, justice, peace in world religions. 25, interfaith dialogue and ecumenism. And just to note there, the learning outcomes are shown within each single one. The role of prayer in the lives of people of faith. Again, lovely for CBA 1. Religious themes in art, music, literature, and film. Then the origins of the world, questions about the meaning of life, and understanding the divine. So that's how they're the 30 kind of little units that it's broken into. Like, for example, like everybody teaches this differently, right? I was just thinking there, like, if you know, your unit of learning, there's a lovely way you can dip in and out of them. Like, let's say with 28 there, you're looking at the origins of the world. That can lead you nicely into 29 questions about the meaning of life. Okay. And when you're talking about the origins of the world, that links really nicely back into number 22, caring for the earth. And you go into Laudato Si, and that brings you lovely, really nicely back into, sorry, now I'm probably making everybody blind, I'm scrolling fast, into Christianity and moral codes. You know, so they all very much kind of interlink between one and the other. So that's just the PDF, I guess. Just what that's lovely to get your head around the overview and the layout of this, and the style of questions and the type of questions and the content that's covered. All right. And you know, it's very adaptable. You can kind of jump in and out as you wish. Right now, I'm going to stop sharing this, and I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. Okay. And I see, right. Okay. So that's kind of the layout of it. All right. I guess just talking with my teacher hat on at the moment, one thing we are all very much is kind of time poor. So for me, I guess just on a practical note, what I like about this is, it's kind of a bit of a time-saving mechanism for me at the moment, or it's a nice thing to do for 10 minutes at the end of the class to kind of wrap something up, because I guess it's a nice little resource to have. And you know, it's just something that I found I've kind of leaned to a bit at the moment. Okay, so that's just kind of one little benefit of it. Again, like, the content is very specific to the specification. I guess the big thing we find at the moment, especially, I guess, junior cycle RE came in just as COVID also came in. So we've all been a little bit, us RE teachers, we were the last kind of cycle of subjects in. So we're all a bit in and out, and things have been changed, and there is a CBA and there isn't a CBA, and we're all very much learning and getting our head around it. So for me, I think this is a nice kind of little good safety net to have. Or if you've been thrown in and you just have a third year class, it's nice to be able to reflect back on this and go, okay, right, do they know that? Okay, have I covered that with them? Okay, then I'm okay. It's just a nice little kind of safety net to know that in the bank of questions, everything that you need to cover is covered. Also, like, this is not a one size fits all, you know. We all teach differently. We all teach, like, I have, you know, with my two groups of first years, I'll teach them both very differently. Every class learns differently. So it's just important to know that this bank of questions doesn't just appear as it is. You know, it's not just there ready-made. Well, it is, but you are very much free to adapt it, to create it, to alter it to your own needs and to your class. You know, you can dip in and out of different topics. What's also nice is like the stuff that I'm doing with first years at the moment, when they're in second year, I can go back to it. When they're in third year, I can go back to it. So it's that it reflects that nice kind of spiraled approach that we are to have to the new spec as well. So you can very much create and add on and adapt and innovate. It's the basics are there for you, and you can build on them if you want. And if you don't want to do a single thing and you want to leave them as they are, that's absolutely fine as well. One thing that I did want to mention is sometimes that this can be kind of controversial, you know, like closed questions, just lower order. Like, I'm kind of thinking of the situation that I find the classroom in at the moment, kind of post-COVID, and the lower level that a lot of our students are at. So I just feel at the moment, our basic, especially, I know I'm always kind of saying this, but a lot of our concepts in RE are so kind of abstract and basic. So I think this kind of basic literacy, basic understanding is kind of so important, because that's what these questions are, you know, they're your kind of your literacy, they are your differentiation, you know, and it's nice and inclusive, because a lot of them, as you'll see now in a minute, are multiple choice. So like, even if your weakest student in the class is still going to be able to access them and is still going to be able to answer them. And even if they don't know the answers, they're still going to be able to make an attempt at doing it, you know. And that also links into those who are doing the junior cycle exam, because it's common level. You'll note, if you're familiar with, I know we only have one sample paper to go by, but there's a little closed test, fill in the blanks. So all of those kind of things are reflective in that as well. So I guess it does tick your literacy box and your differentiation box, very much so. And just to go back on that, like when you're talking about differentiation, I guess you have to have the lower tiers before you move up to the higher tiers. And this is very much what this is. It's a check-in. And it's, you know, applying that kind of basic knowledge. So that's, I guess, the concept of it, because you have to have the basics before you can move on to more higher order thinking. So what are its different uses? I guess just in terms of your digital learning framework and your integration of ICT, that's obviously a big feature of our classrooms post-COVID. It links in nicely with that. You know, you can set it up that they peer correct, which is really nice. They can check each other's work. It's a nice little kind of group work thing. It enables a little bit of, you know, independent learning. It's just, I guess, a little addition to our teaching and learning. And then it's also nice to, you know, it's a nice bank of resources that we can tip into at different, you know, assessment moments that we're kind of coming up on soon. So it can be useful as a nice little revision tool as well. I guess probably the most feature that teachers will like from it is that it is self-correcting, because if you're anything like me, I am that woman on the right hand side that doesn't like correcting very much. So that's the concept of it, that it is also self-correcting as well. So that's kind of just, I guess, the explanation of it. It's kind of looking at its layout, its structure, the kind of questions and the rationale. What time are we at? Yeah, that's 20 past. So I'm just going to show you the actual platform itself now. And maybe before I do, I just see one or two things in there on the chat. Is there anything that I...
Don't worry, Paul, I've been looking after the chat while
you're... is that all right?
Magic. That's the good thing about having two people on.
Okay, cool.
Hey, take me as your little assistant for today.
Okay, no, because I saw it and then I was like, oh God, I hope everybody they can hear me. A bit late in that question.
That there was a few little issues in between PowerPoint changes, but everything seemed to be worked overall smoothly. No worries, and it definitely is going to be very seamless in the recording. So anybody that had any connectivity issues, I would invite to see the recordings. But thank you so much for being here. Everything seemed to be fine, and for some people seemed to be fine too. So I think there was not too many issues. And thank you.
So maybe there's one or two kind of connection issues. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to open hang on now, let me minimize this, and I just want to open the actual formative slides, but now of course my PowerPoint is frozen, so give me a second. Oh, hang on now, I'm off the PowerPoint. Sorry, my PowerPoint was frozen there. Okay, so I am just opening up the thing. Okay, now I'm on it, so let me just share my screen again. Here we go. So this is what the actual platform itself looks like. Carolina, we're all okay? You can see it? Cool.
All good, thank you.
All good, perfect. So when you go on, you'll see JCRE Bank of Questions. Okay, so all the stuff I was telling you on the PDF, these are each of them explained here, right? So let's just, for example, look at the first one here. If you're doing Islam, if you're looking at the founding story and the history of Islam, and let me look at it. Hang on, I just want to move our little picture up on the side there. And so I'm looking at the founding story of Islam. And I'm just going to look at it in, so there are the questions, but I'm just going to look at it in preview, how a student would see it, all right? I have a load of tabs open, so sorry. This is probably why mine is taking a little bit longer. If it does this again, I'll just, okay. So this is what it would appear like to your students, okay? So here you have your instructions. So you'll see there, who is responsible for the foundation of Islam? In what year was Muhammad born? Who was Muhammad's wife? Complete the sentence with the correct term. Okay, so you'll see your nice kind of little lower order bank of questions there. Oh, sorry, hang on, I minimized it there. I want to move, sorry, I need to move this tab from the top. And I know.
Don't worry, Paula, it's live, so it's the joys of doing things live.
Yeah.
Internet connections, they take a few seconds to respond. It's absolutely normal. Don't worry.
No, it's because I have it opened up in student view and all my tabs are hidden behind the thing. I'm going to stop my share actually. Hang on now. If I stop my share and I'll get back to it. Yeah. Okay, so next time I'm not going to open it up in student view. I'm just going to open it up as you will see it as a teacher. So hang on, let me get back to my thing there. Here we go. Okay, so there's your founding story of Islam, right? And like then there's the same kind of similar things, Islam in the world today, expansion and persecution, and a timeline of the history of Islam. So you'll see there, it's nice, like there's lovely kind of little being numerate, lovely just kind of basic order ones there. Like let's say, for example, this other one on religious rituals, you'll see it's like there's an awful lot of things in there, like, and all the different world religions are covered. So like starting off with like, and this is a lovely, like, you know I'm big into kind of literacy and differentiation, and like the two, literacy and differentiation, are the same things. They're your understanding. And it's all lovely, like explaining these kind of keywords, ritual and religious ritual, that are alien in the lives of our students. And then it looks at rituals in Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. So they're all covered there, So you might cover generic rituals in all of them. You might only look at two religions, so you just dip in and out of as you wish. Like I was just looking at some different ones that I just think give nice examples. Like if you look here at the role of prayer in the lives of people of faith, like it's lovely here, like you have a nice definition of prayer, examples and types of prayer, and then you're looking at kind of comparison between Christianity or prayer in Christianity and Islam. That's a nice little one. Again, my nice little topical one at the moment, caring for the earth, is a really nice one. Like for example, let's look at the papal encyclical Laudato Si. Now I'm not going to put it in preview mode because I'm going to have that whole hoo-ha again of not being able to open and close things, but like there's your learning outcomes there. But like, what was the name of the papal encyclical? You can see, in case you're having a moment at the top of the class where you're like, I don't know the answer to that question, the correct answer is up there for you, right? So you don't have to worry about that. It will be foolproof. You will know all the answers, right? And you can see here how you can edit it, and then, like, as I said, the beauty of it is that your responses are all marked. Like, in what year did Pope Francis deliver Laudato Si? Obviously, this only comes up for you, the correct answer. Which of the following is Pope Francis? And then like this is just question 4 here would be example of like what's very reflective of the junior cycle paper, you know, in the Laudato Si encyclical, he calls on people all over the world. And what the students have in their view is they have the list of words and they have to drag them to where they're supposed to put them there. Okay, so that's just an example of like, it's not just all tick the box. There's different things in there as well. When you are looking, I'm just going to give you 2 more examples because I know I'm talking at a mile a minute here on this, right? Like say for your CBAs, your artistic, architectural, this is a lovely little introduction to that, like what is the search for meaning, talking about ancient culture, and then art, architecture, and archaeological evidence, just kind of getting their head around the start of that. And then the last one I'm going to show you is your moral codes in Christianity. Okay, and again, look, the bank of them is there on all the different world religions, but it's nice. And you can see how you can link it back to different elements, you know, different banks of questions in it as you've gone a little bit further. Like, so you're starting there, like the definition of the kingdom of God and the name of the moral code in Christianity, features of it, teachings from the moral code, and its influences today. So it's quite wide and varied. And even though the questions are, I guess, lower order, it does cover a huge volume, and it is nice to have it to kind of go back to at the end, right? So I think I'm like, so when you go onto the bank of questions, they're all there, and all the little sub questions are within each single one, right? And then you can do different things. You'll see your tab here where you can add on to it, you can design, you can add more questions. You'll see here I have like my wrong Ferdia, you can add class groups, you insert your students' names there, etc., etc. So it's kind of, sometimes those little things are handy for parent teacher meetings. But I mean, what you're worried about now, or what you're concerned with now, is the resources. And you'll just see there that there's 30 banks. They all have kind of 4 or 5 questions within each one. So there's over 600 questions there at the end. So I think I am going to, it's 27 minutes past. So I'm going to stop talking unless you want me to say anything else, Carolina. And yeah, and let people, if they have questions or whatever.
Thank you so much, Paula. I'm muting myself here. You were absolutely brilliant. I think you gave a lot of spoilers of the whole content, because we're like, of course, advertising the whole list of topics, but for the 30-day trial, we only selected a few topics, of course, for the people to go and try and have, like, let's say, a taster of it. And then, of course, you get the full package with the content for the whole years when you do the subscription, which I'm going to take this hook here as well. Number one, to say thank you very much, because I jumped in talking, commenting on your comment. But first, thank you so much for your participation, for, of course, the content, but for delivering this webinar with so much passion about how you created so much content and how this is a great resource for teachers. It was absolutely brilliant. Also taking the opportunity to answer the question about the subscription. It is per student, so you can find more information on the model on our website, which is examcraft.formative.com. I have posted in the chat, but I'm going to post again later on. So we know, taking so much more of time, I'm going to now share my screen, and there is a few things that I want to tie up on what Paula showed you. Let me make sure I have the right one. Yeah, perfect. I have the right screen to share with you, which is this one. So I have also selected a few things to show you and give you a little demo on the platform. Paula was a lot into the content she developed, but I want to show you as well a few features of how to use this content in the platform. So number one, like, this is the home, that's where you're going to land. I have here my teacher account for demonstration purposes, and in the left hand side you find the menu with your formatives, which is, let's say, your desk, where you have all your folders with the contents in there. And here you have your classes, where you admin your classes, reports where you can analyze the results, and library, that's where you're going to find the bank of questions. So this is where I would like to show, because Paula was showing from her working dashboard. So here, when you go into the library, and normally there would be like a random library, there is a full resources from the platform itself, from all over the world, from other teachers and so on, that you're free to use as well. But the most important is the content that our authors have developed, especially for the junior cycle curriculum, and all the questions are tagged to learning outcomes. So that's really what it makes the difference when you're providing the formative feedback to the students. When you go to filters there, you choose from all libraries, and in there you're going to find the name of your school. But in this case, for the 30-day trial, this is where you're going to access the library. So there, everything is going to be there for you. So you can go there and access and see the content. So this is what is available from a little bit from each of the years for you to use, and then you can navigate through the topics and see it all there. So when you find the content into your library, you hit the plus and it goes immediately to your formatives dashboard. So you find them in here. So they're ready to be used. So this is the one that I have just imported to my library. So another thing that I wanted to show is from religious education, some formatives. I'm not going to go through so much the content bit, but I'm going to show you when you assign to a class, that is also very easy to do. I'm going to show you to here very quickly the classes. And you can easily synchronize your classes. You can see here I'm using the Google Classroom integration. So you can just add, and then you can roster sync. When you roster sync, it's going to prompt you to choose your account. So you can choose either Microsoft Teams or Google Classroom. And then when you prompt that, it's going to appear all your classes in here. I'm just going through this very quickly. So I didn't allow the integration to go ahead this time, but it works very, very easily. So immediately when you do the synchronization, all your names of the students will appear, and you just hit click and all your students will be there. So I'm just going to go back again to the point I wanted to show on the formatives. When you assign to a classroom, so here, I'm going to just take this one as a matter of curiosity. So one thing that I'm going to show as well is the preview as a student. I hope you can see there. It's loading. You can choose as well how your students are going to preview on a mobile, so on a small screen. You can also choose how will they preview on a tablet and on a laptop, depending on what kind of device they're using. So there you can see the little drags and drops. So this is how they would do in order to answer a question. And here as well is when it shows the status and the progression throughout the exams for the students. These within many more. But also another feature that I really wanted to show is that, for example, about the lower order and higher order questions, it's very easy and simple to change. And if you want to challenge your students a bit more, you have a little bit more time, and you want to kind of, let's say, correct their answers and maybe give them like very complex feedback, you can easily in a formative change the nature of a question here by selecting here, and then you can put in to fill in the blank, or you can choose for free his response, or there's also a short answer. So this way, if you change the question type and you put for a short answer, it would change the question type, and you can add the correct answer, or you can leave it blank if you want to just kind of go through each of the questions yourself, but it's still tagged to the learning outcomes. So you still have that facility to filter the results afterwards, because again, this is where the magic is. You can see the progress of your students in real time, and you can easily as well provide them feedback. So there's so many more features and so many things you can see as well. Like you can play around in the way whenever you go to assign as well, you can select student pace mode or teacher pace mode if it's something that you want to do with your class. So when you're going through a topic, for example, you can use those resources with your class and go on the teacher pace mode and go answering with them. So you can tell them a story and kind of explain to them where, let's say, the answers will fit in this case. I mean, there is so many different features that you can use on assigning a formative as well. that I could be talking on and on again. And another very cool thing is that in reports, that is something that I wanted to show, is that you can filter by standards, which is the learning outcomes. So this is what I said, that it makes it very easy to implement the formative feedback once you have all the questions pre-marked for you, as Paula was stressing. That is a very, very good thing, not only because it saves you time, but it also allows you to save the time on correcting the assessments, and instead investing into spending more time with your students or doing whatever else you find suitable with your class. So I don't want to be extending our sales for too much. I'm going to stop the demo for now. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to take a deep breath and go to the Q&A. So I have here some questions from the audience. Thank you so much. The audience has been very engaging tonight. I'm very sorry that I won't be able to answer all the questions for the session live, but what I'm going to do is I am going to add them to the recordings on our YouTube channel. So if I don't answer one of the questions tonight, they will be answered in our YouTube channel with the recording, so everybody can get on board. So the students don't need to have access to iPads. So depends on what's the policy in your school. You can either book a computer room, or if you're on one-to-one device, either you have like notebooks, tablets, or even if your school allows for the option of bring your own device. So the students can use either on mobile phones, tablets, either iPads, Chromebooks, whatever brand, and also notebooks or desktops. So it pretty much works on anything, just doesn't work on Apple Watches yet, but who knows, the future, it's there, everything is possible. So I hope that answers this question. And also, yes, in terms of like whenever you're asking, there's a question here about do any questions require word answers, and if so, is the answer case sensitive or does spelling matter? Yes, that does matter when you put to be a short answer. So then you can put different options. So you can also allow for partial match. So when you put for allow for partial match, if there's any spelling mistakes or anything like that, that should consider still right if there's any like issues with that, or if it's missing like a conjunction, like the exam craft group, and they only put exam craft group, it should work as well as the right answer in this case. So
I think just the way the way the RE one is currently set up, it doesn't matter because we don't have it down as short answer questions. So like at the moment, the ones where you'd have to put in a word, they're the closed kind of test ones where you'd have the words there and you just drag it. So the way it's currently set up, no, but if you were to do it yourself.
Yeah, if you were to change,
if you were to change it.
You just need to pay attention to allow for those options whenever you're changing the question type, but it's something very simple to do it as well. In our website, in the training center, there is a few bits that you can have a look in there, and it gives you a little few more insights on how to do things in the platform. If everybody want to have a look, it's there, it's open, it's in the training center. So there is also another question regarding pricing. So the pricing, it's on our website there, and it works on a subscription model, as I've already mentioned. So if you want to discuss any type of subscriptions, if you want to discuss how it would work for your school, do get in touch with us in our website there as well. There's the option to request a demo. So we can request a demo and understand what would be the use in your school, and tell you how would that work in terms of price as well. So I think that I don't want to kind of extend this webinar for
there was one question, like, are students able to look back? Do they have their own dashboard? Like, are they able to look back on their own answers for revision?
Yes, absolutely.
I was thinking so, but I wasn't 100%.
That is a very good question, Paula. Thank you so much. I was kind of more into the Q&A box first, because I see there was a lot.
I just saw it in the chat there,
Yeah, that's very good. Thank you. And that's a very, very good question, because yes, that's the idea about the formative feedback. Students can access all of their formatives on their dashboard. That will be some soon released on that as well in our website on about the students view. And also there's another function that I want to mention here that is about the synchronization with Google Classroom and Microsoft Teams. So that allows very easily for students to refer to previous ones as well, as they have their dashboard, but they can also track their progress and see how they're improving to each of the learning outcomes and strands as well. So it's very insightful for them whenever they are using the results from their formatives to see which kind of topics or learning outcomes do they need to focus more on their studies. So I hope that answers that question very briefly as well. But yes, there's a few different ways for the students to do that, but it's there for them and it's there as well so the parents can access how are they getting on as well through their own individual dashboards as a student.
That answered for me as well, because I wasn't sure. I know the content part of it. I'm not, I wasn't 100% sure on the technical side of it.
That's perfect. So
Yeah.
again, if you have any other to the audience, if you have any other technical questions, if anything that hasn't been fully answered for you tonight, apologize and thank you so much for your patience as well. I'm going to go through again in detail of the chat, and I'm going to make sure I answer to all the questions when the recording goes up into our YouTube channel as well. Please feel free to reach out to us over email on our website. And as well, I want to invite you all again for the 30-day trial. So you can subscribe for the platform and try it for yourself. It's 30 days free. So with no further ado, I would like to thank you all again so much for joining us tonight. Thank you again, Paula, for
thank you. Thanks everyone for
facilitating. And I'm going to finish this up. Thank you so much and good night, everyone.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. See you soon.